field, right? How many more years is Davante Adams going to play? If they don't grab a quarterback, are you going to have an issue with your star wide receiver?
Raiders star wide receiver Davante Adams is 31 years old without much time left to win his first Super Bowl of his entire career. Is he really going to do it with Aiden O'Connell or newly signed quarterback Gardner Minshew?
Hey, baby, you want to come take a ride with the Mississippi Mud Flat?
It appears that Davante Adams has sent a clear message to the Las Vegas Raiders. The brother of Davante Adams' best friend made a few comments on television that should give us good insight as to what Davante is thinking. I am on Twitter and Instagram, even though I do not care about those apps, so subscribe to me on YouTube instead, Wi-Fi Willie, for more NFL content. Earlier this year, in January, Davante Adams was on Amber Theo-Harris's podcast, where he revealed that he wanted a certain quarterback last year.
That was somebody I was campaigning for coming out. I was really, I won't say I was anti-rookie, but I was not pro-rookie across the board. It wasn't just get somebody young. It was really, that was the guy that I felt strongly about, and he felt the same way.
So Davante Adams was down to play with CJ Stroud, wanted the Raiders to draft that rookie quarterback, but they were not able to trade up and rolled with Jimmy Garoppolo instead. We all know now that the Jimmy Garoppolo experience with Davante Adams and the Raiders was an absolute disaster.
On the stunt, he gets picked up, wide open and overthrown is Davante Adams.
Davante Adams' numbers took a hit last year, even when Jimmy Garoppolo was benched. It was his first season since 2019 without double-digit touchdowns, and it was the lowest receiving yards Davante Adams has had since 2019 as well. Also in January, on Amber Theo-Harris's podcast, Davante Adams made some bold comments about how it could not be worth it for the Raiders to have him on the team.
You know, just have me run around out there and just get double teamed, or we're not scheming it the right way to get me open, then it's just going to make it harder for the quarterback to read the picture. And that's when you got to figure out if it's worth having that guy, you know, aka me, on your team, because it can't make it tougher if you don't match, you know, my level with the quarterback with my level.
As we saw with Jimmy Garoppolo and Josh McDaniels, Davante Adams' numbers could decline, you could harm his Hall of Fame trajectory, and ultimately you can have an offense that can't excel even if you have Davante Adams on the team if you don't have the right scheme and the right quarterback. Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce has tried to speak positively about Aiden O'Connell, who is currently on the roster right now. But it is no secret, and it is quite obvious, that the Raiders, even after signing Gardner Minshew in free agency, are still trying to find their franchise quarterback. And Pierce is starting to walk some comments back. Previously in February, he had said that he's aggressive when it comes to trading up for a franchise QB. That's his personality. He's a go-getter, and that he's not interested in band-aids at the quarterback position. And that is why you still have reports about the Raiders taking some desperate measures here.
Which teams are you hearing that might move up to take their franchise quarterback?
The two that you hear most strongly, Christina, are the Minnesota Vikings and the Las Vegas Raiders. And the Raiders, they know Jaden Daniels. Antonio Pierce, their head coach, was on Herm Edwards' Arizona State coaching staff when Daniels began his college career at Arizona State. So even after free agency, the Raiders are still trying to pull the trigger and trade up. They gotta compete with the Minnesota Vikings, who do have a first-round pick here at pick 23, and also a pick above the Raiders at pick 11. But now we are starting to see the odds change as to who could be selected at pick number 2. Obviously, the Raiders are interested in Jaden Daniels due to his connection with Pierce and the fact that he fits what Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator of the Raiders, would likely want to do. So the Raiders should be stoked about this news that Drake May is projected, according to the betting odds, to be the number 2 pick going to the Washington Commanders instead of Jaden Daniels. However, Jaden Daniels' coach at LSU let something slip, accidentally said that Daniels is going to get the ball to his playmakers in a certain city.
And make, because he's going to get the ball out to the playmakers and make plays for Washington.
For Washington, did this man with a very bad tan let something slip? The Broncos, the Raiders, and the Vikings are teams that are picking later on, all competing for a quarterback. One thing that was released today by an ESPN reporter is that the Vikings, if they don't like what they would have have to give up to trade up to grab their franchise quarterback, they are confident in rolling with Sam Darnold for the 2024 season and trying to solve the quarterback position next year. The head coach of the Vikings, Kevin O'Connell, has done a great job with random backup quarterbacks. You saw him ball out last year with Josh Dobbs randomly in the middle of the season. Like we mentioned earlier, the Vikings have 2 first-round picks this year, so they have more ammo to trade up than the Raiders and swap with New England or swap with the Arizona Cardinals. But if they elect not to do so, the Raiders could grab some ammunition of their own and potentially trade away a piece with the New York Jets to help give them ammo and grab their next franchise quarterback. Michael Penix Jr. has been a quarterback on the radar if the Raiders stay at pick 13 and select their franchise quarterback there. But Michael Penix Jr. is starting to trend up according to several NFL draft experts. Everybody is praising this guy this week. Everybody is talking about how he's being slept on. You have former quarterback Chase Daniels saying that he's one of the top 3 QBs in the entire class, and if you don't think that, you don't know ball. And he showed this amazing play by Michael Penix Jr. in which he was able to evade some pressure by stepping up into the pocket and deliver, albeit a lucky pass, to a wide receiver that was bobbled up a little bit, but nonetheless he was showing off some of the great pocket presence by Mr. Michael Penix Jr. But Davante Adams back in January made it clear which rookie quarterback he's the most interested in.
But I did pay a little bit of attention to Jaden Daniels. I know he was a good, tough, obviously won the Heisman, so he's a great player, but that's somebody that I think that can come in and be a decent player. He's going to have to slide a little bit more than what he was doing this year, because I saw him taking a couple hits like 1-7 out there. But that's somebody that I've seen that look like he can throw it, and he's an athlete, can kind of go on the run, make plays with his legs, all of that.
And that would be no big deal. Oh, so what? He said that's a rookie quarterback who he would like. It's a Heisman Trophy winner, kind of an obvious choice. But just the other day, in late March, Davante Adams dropped a little hint here on Instagram, posting a story of Jaden Daniels being quoted at his pro day, where Daniels said that his resume speaks for itself. But Davante Adams, out of nowhere, shared this information. Maybe he's just being nice to the guy, maybe he's just being friendly, but this is already 2 times where we have seen him show a preference towards Jaden Daniels. And if you were still convinced that this is not a big deal, that he's made 2 references to Jaden Daniels so far, well, now we got the 3rd one via David Carr, via the brother of his best friend Derek Carr. Most of you Raiders fans know Davante Adams literally joined the Raiders to play with Derek Carr, who he was best friends with ever since they played together at Fresno State. And now you got Derek Carr's brother David on NFL Network making a really sly comment that backs up a lot of this stuff we've been talking about.
They're going to have to identify who they want, what quarterback fits their system. Obviously, we know who Davante wants, right? So I think that's one of the things you're going to have to navigate also, because he's not a piece that you can move, right? Because that would be kind of ironic. You trade Davante to bring in Jaden Daniels, who he wants.
Who he wants, you know who Davante wants, Mr. Jaden Daniels. You got it there from David Carr. The 3rd instance we have in 2024 connecting Davante Adams to Jaden Daniels. There have been Davante Adams to the Jets trade rumors. Davante Adams has even acknowledged them.
That Jets GM Joe Douglas picked up the phone and did call them and asked about you. And you know that phone call was not made without Aaron Rodgers saying, I want you to go get Tay. I'm not asking about trades or anything like that. But when you heard that 12 was like, please go get him, how did you react? How did that make you feel?
So obviously there's interest there, and the Jets reportedly are interested in trading back from their number 10 pick to a QB needy team, like the Raiders. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but yes, I do agree with David Carr. That would be ironic if the Jets traded the number 10 pick for Davante Adams, so the Raiders could use those package of picks and trade up and select Jaden Daniels. Knowing the bad luck of us Raiders fans, that's exactly how this would have to happen in order for us to get our franchise QB. And then there's the icing on the cake. The icing on the cake as to why the Raiders might go all in and pull the trigger to trade up, even if that means giving up several first-round picks in the future. It's because of this key comment right here by David Carr when asked about the current quarterbacks on the Raiders roster.
Aiden O'Connell won them some football games. Gardner Minshew won a lot of football games for the Colts. Do they have to panic?
I think that the only thing that would put pressure on you is other players in that locker room. So if you look at like a Davante Adams or Max Crosby, like what are they saying to Antonio Pierce? What is the collective team? How do they feel, right? How many more years is Davante Adams going to play? If they don't grab a quarterback, are you going to have an issue with your star wide receiver? Those are some of the things that we aren't privy to that information, but you can definitely see that could be an issue.
Now, David Carr tried to keep it professional and say we're not privy to that information, but this is literally the brother of Derek Carr, who's still friends with people on the Raiders roster, who's still best friends with Davante Adams. I'm pretty sure he's been able to hear some messages and some feelings, maybe across a dinner table or two. The key thing he said is, how many years does Davante Adams have left at age 31? And without a franchise quarterback, if you just have Aiden O'Connell, just have Gardner Minshew, you are essentially wasting Davante Adams' prime. And just like Davante Adams said earlier in that Amber Theo Harris interview, if you don't have a quarterback who knows how to handle a situation when you're dealing with a superstar wide receiver who's double and triple covered, then you may actually be making it harder for somebody like a Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell by forcing them to force it to somebody like Davante Adams. Antonio Pierce has clearly made it known that he wants the Raiders to give up whatever they have to give up in order to grab their franchise quarterback. Now, via David Carr, there's the idea that players in the locker room, including people like Davante Adams, would like the GM to do whatever it takes to find their franchise quarterback. I think Gardner Minshew was a smart signing to make other teams think that you are not that desperate. But with all the pressure coming from all these different angles at Mark Davis, at the new GM Tom Telesco, I think it's quite clear that the Raiders are desperate to find their franchise quarterback and are going to be pressured to give up a haul and do whatever it takes to find their guy. So draft night is going to be so exciting. It is 3 weeks away. I am going to be live during the first round of the NFL draft, reacting to every single pick in real time. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss any more content from me, Wi-Fi Willie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.